we can go ahead and get started. I would like to change the order of business real quick because Consul General Fukushima has been so kind to join us. Let me go ahead and introduce her to y'all, and she can go. You're welcome to stay as long as you like, but if you have other business, we certainly please take care of that. But it is my privilege this evening to introduce you to Consul General of Japan at Nashville, Kayoko Fukushima. Her area of responsibility includes Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee. Consul General Fukushima is serving in her third diplomatic assignment in the United States, having most recently been the Director of Diplomatic Archives at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan headquarters in Tokyo, and before that in the Minister's Secretariat as Senior Coordinator of the Public Diplomacy Strategies Division, as well as the Assistant Chief of Protocol. She's also served at the embassies of Ireland and Thailand. She began her career in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 1981 after receiving her bachelor's degree in English literature from Sophia University, Tokyo, Japan. She also has received a Master's of Law and Diplomacy from the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, Tufts University, Medford, Massachusetts in 1985, and served at the Consulate General in New York from 1993 to 1996. Her diplomatic skills are eminent, having served at the United Nations as a program director at the UN and as the founding director of the UN Women Japan Liaison Office based in Tokyo. I've seen and heard Consul General present on a number of topics ranging from resilience to planning. She is married and a mother of two grown daughters. Consul General Fukushima is one of the most brilliant and accomplished women I've come to know, respect, and call a friend. Please join me in welcoming Consul General Keoko Fukushima to our annual meeting.
Thank you very much, President Turner. President Turner, Honorary Consul Fraiche, ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year. Thank you for your kind invitation to join you at this important annual meeting of the Japan Society of New Orleans. COVID-19 has completely changed our work and lifestyles. However, it is nice to get connected through online, like today's meeting. It was also a pleasure to participate in the JUMP event organized by your society last month. I would like to pay tribute to your society and all of you, members for your tireless work. Even under these difficult circumstances, there has been no interruption to your long-lasting contributions to Japan-US relations in this region. In September last year, a new cabinet was formed by Prime Minister Suga, and just last week, President Biden and Vice President Harris were inaugurated. Prime Minister Suga extended his most heartfelt congratulations to President Biden and Vice President Harris on their inauguration and expressed his intent to collaborate closely with them and to reinforce the Japan-US alliance and make it even more robust. Earlier this week, telephone talks were made between Prime Minister Suga and President Biden again, and also between Japanese Foreign Minister Motegi and Secretary of State Blinken, respectively. In these talks, both sides confirmed their commitments to strengthen Japan-US alliance, to realize free and open Indo-Pacific, and to cooperate closely to tackle global issues, including COVID-19 and climate change. The importance of Japan-US alliance will continue to grow in many ways, including through our cooperation in free and open Indo-Pacific, trade, pandemic mitigation, digitalization, disaster prevention, and climate change. In addition, grassroots exchanges will continue to play a very important role in strengthening our bond. I hope to enhance even stronger bilateral relationship in this region, and your continued cooperation with our consulate would be greatly appreciated. My colleagues and I are looking forward to working closely with you this year in every possible manner. Currently, we at the consulate are conducting our activities mainly in virtual formats, except our consular services, which remain mostly in person. We share our activities and information about Japan through our website and social media channels. Our Facebook and Instagram showcase Japanese culture and Japan-US exchanges in the region, and you can reach those accounts with the keyword Japan in Nashville. Please let me repeat again, Japan in Nashville. With the recent resurgence of the pandemic in Japan, the state of emergency has been declared in 11 Japanese prefectures, including Tokyo and Osaka, which measures to mitigate the disease, including shortened business hours of the restaurants in these prefectures. In addition, the government has been striving to expedite the vaccination process. Our consulate provides consular information, including restrictions for travel from the US to Japan. So if you are interested, please visit our website and keep you updated. One of recent posts on the consulate's Instagram is my lunch of a po' boy, jambalaya, and beignet, which I picked up at a Louisiana-inspired restaurant in Nashville. These dishes reminded me of my trips to New Orleans, and I decided to make this post to share my wish to return to Louisiana and to meet with the many friends of Japan there. I have already penciled in October 17 New Orleans Japan Festival on my schedule. But even before that occasion, I am optimistic that an opportunity to visit you may become available. I hope this year will be a prosperous one for you all, your families, and the Japan Society of New Orleans. Please stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Consul General, thank you so much. We
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
you joining us tonight.
My
We'll have
pleasure.
to send you some pralines or some little, normally we give a little presentation gift for speaking. So how about some New Orleans pralines? I'll make sure that we get those up to you. If I could ask, I need to share my screen so that we have our there we go. Just to move through our slide presentation. Again, Consul General, feel free to stay as long as you like. Kawaguchi-san, Deputy Consul General,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome
We'll
to
be
stay
staying. Yeah,
as long as you like.
Thank you.
Just to go over our agenda, we have had the call of order. We're going to do officers' reports, check any old business, any new business, our way ahead. And you just heard from Consul General Fukushima, and you will hear, once we conclude our business, from Honorary Consul of Japan, Donna Fraiche. Moving on to officers' report, I'll turn it over to Dr. Sam Perez for the Secretary's report.
Hey, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm pleased to announce that in our virtual meeting, we have a quorum. So we are good to proceed with business. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes of our 2019 annual meeting? And if you could say your name when you do so.
Mrs. Gregg, I move.
Thank you. Can I have a second to approve the minutes?
Second, Naomi.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
No need for discussion.
Yes, especially in this environment. There you go. Sorry. If there's no discussion, put it to the vote to the membership.
I'll say any nays? No nays, motion carries. So the minutes have been approved.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. In terms of membership, as of the intended time for our meeting for right now, we have 116 current members, active members, 76 are voting members, 25 are non-voting, and we have 15 honorary members.
I would like to make a comment on that, while our membership is down, that is somewhat expected because we had a number of members join in 2019 a number of young folks joined with the hope of getting on the exchange program. And a number of those folks did not renew. So I did expect our numbers to go down a little bit. I think COVID had a little bit to do it in our programs moving online, but I still feel that we have a strong membership. So Sam, do you have anything else?
No, that's it
For the
for me.
Secretary's report, thank you so much. We will
Thank you,
now
Mike.
move on to the Treasurer report and turn it over to our Treasurer, Jennifer Torres.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending tonight. So for the Treasurer's report, as you can say, as of January 24th, 2021, all of our balances are increased from last year of 2020. Our operating account is at $7,624.01. Our exchange account that we use for the program that Sam has just mentioned in 2019 that we did, this is what that fund is for. The exchange account is at $3,504.78. And our savings account is at $5,007.72 with a total of $16,136.51. Like I said previously, all of these have increased from previous year of 2020 due to the fact that it is COVID and less activities have been round, so less spending. But yes, we've grown our accounts.
I'll move to that. If I might speak to one, Jennifer, and two main things that happened this year. The National Association of Japan America Societies waived their annual dues for 2020. In an email this week that I received, they've also waived the first half dues. So those dues are $600 a year. So we will owe $300 in dues, Jennifer, sometime in the middle of the year. We'll get that invoice later. So that was generous of them to waive our dues. We're kind of small potatoes in the membership, being an all volunteer society. There's some pretty big groups that their bills are pretty big, but I'm sure they're to see those bills cut because everybody's seen just some budget cuts. Now, where we've been able to benefit is we did receive $2,000 in admin fees that normally we would spend on a reception or most of that money on receptions, but instead we're able to capture that as admin fees. That's going in the bank account. We also have a grant, Geo Strategies and the Grassroots. If both of those, if Jump and Geo Strategy had been in-person events, each of those grants are $13,000 a year. So when we pay $600 to the National Association of Japan America Society, we're getting $26,000 back through grants and other things. Also, we had a great Give NOLA Day, and I'll give props to Matt Smith and Doug Tassin, two of our board members that headed that up. We had a record year of $1,500 that we collected. The board decided to move 50% of that money into the exchange account, and the other 50% went into fund our operations. As it stands right now, I don't have any grant requests on any grant applications outstanding. So we'll have to see what comes up in 2021, any other programs. Vice President, thank you, Jennifer, for your report. Vice President's report, Greg, you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so right now all of our programs are in hiatus due to the COVID. So that's the Japanese Cinema Series, Nihongo Bin, and Nihongo Renshu. Jennifer heads up Nihongo Bin and Nihongo Renshu. Right now, the Japanese Cinema Series chair position is open. Michelle used to head that up, but with her being president of Japan Club, that makes that difficult. So we'll be looking for any volunteer to head up the Japanese Cinema Series position. So if you're interested, just let one of us know and we can move forward from there. That's all that I have at this point.
I'll turn this next slide over to Jennifer as our Quiet on Book Club has moved online.
Yes, thank you, Mike. So yes, As Mike has said, our Quiet on Book Club, usually we do have in-person meetings at a local bookstore in Mid-City called the Mid-City Bookstore. And Tubby and Coos, yes. And since, in-person cannot happen these days because of our circumstances, we have moved it online to our Japan Society of New Orleans Discord service. This is an application that you can find on your computer or on your phone, almost like a chat system. But it also does have video features as well. What we do in Quiet on Book Club is we read and discuss books on Japanese topics of all genres, whether they're from Japanese authors or foreign authors writing on Japan, which is what our current book that we're reading right now will be. It's called Fallen Angel, an Only in Tokyo mystery. It is by a foreign author, and we will be reading that at our next meeting and discussing it, which is February 21st of 2021 at 4 p.m. on our Discord service. We've gotten a positive response from doing these on Discord. It seems like a lot of people can actually attend book club now with it being online. So we're very happy that we've gotten a positive response from this drastic change that we've implemented.
Very good. Thanks, Jennifer, carrying that on. You co-chair that with Giselle for all. So
Correct.
Giselle couldn't make it tonight. We're missing her, but thank you so much for picking up that and then moving it online. So it sounds like you had a pretty good time and a nice little attendance at the last event, correct?
Yes.
We're looking forward to February.
Thank you.
Moving on, this is our latest and greatest, turn it over to my chair, Nigel Copeland. You and your team have done a fantastic job, so I'll let you tee this up and have at it.
Sure, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm sorry if my connection kind of dips. It's been dipping throughout the meeting, but first, hello and good evening to everyone tonight. It's good to see you, even if it is in a virtual capacity. So I would like to spend a few minutes sharing with you one of the newest projects that we have from the Japan Society of New Orleans. And unfortunately, with the continuation of COVID, many 2020 and now seemingly 2021 plans to travel to Japan were and are being put on hold or outright canceled. So I found myself in that boat in the summer of 2020. I was planning to go to the Olympics as well. Probably won't be this year, but it's for that reason that a team of us from the Japan Society first got the idea for this new project. It's sort of cliche, but we figured if we can't literally travel to Japan, we would metaphorically bring Japan to us. But not just to us. We wanted to share that journey through Japan and its culture with all of the members of the Japan Society. So beginning this February, on February 5th, 2021, which is a week from tomorrow, we will begin airing a new weekly podcast called The Crew of Japan. And our hope is that it serves as a weekly audio journey through Japanese culture, language, travel tips, and so much more. So this podcast will feature a team of hosts, including Doug Tassin, who's on the call. We'll have Maddie Fox, who's also on the call, and Jennifer Torres, who just spoke right before me, and also myself. So each week we will take a deep dive into a new topic about Japan, and with the help of guest experts, Japanese natives, expats, and Japan enthusiasts, we think it's an experience that you won't want to miss. So our trailer is now streaming on all of the major podcast services. So Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, and I think we're also on Amazon as well. So please consider subscribing wherever you listen to your podcast. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Crew of Japan Podcast. So we hope to have you as a listener when we start the journey next week. And I'll open it up to the rest of the co-hosts to add anything to that.
Doug, Maddie, Jennifer, you want to say anything?
Yeah, this is Doug. I just wanted to say big thanks to Nigel for really coordinating this effort. He's done a hell of a job. He's really blown away with the preparation that was put in, and I'm just so happy to be a part of it, and looking forward to bringing all these episodes to everyone within New Orleans area, but also outside of that as well.
I had to figure out how to unmute myself, but I figured it out, and I strongly second that. I think that it's going to be a wonderful experience for anybody who tunes in, and Nigel is seriously killing it. I'm just really proud to be a part of it.
Kudos
Yeah, I just
to
like
all,
to add.
particularly Nigel. Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer.
Oh no, you're good. I just wanted to also add, even though they're being totally modest, Nigel is doing a ton of work. He does a lot of the lifting, but Maddie, Doug, and I, give yourselves a pat on the back, guys. You deserve some love too. It's really a team effort, and you'll really much see that on the podcast. And we hope that you continue listening to us as we put out more content, and we enjoy the first season of our podcast. So thank you.
I'd like to second what Jennifer said. It is a team effort for sure. So I couldn't do any of this on my own. So the final product will be, it'll be us. It'll be what we've all put into it. So we really hope you enjoy it next week.
I'm really looking forward to it. I'll tell you what, if you have not listened to the trailer yet, you need to go listen to the trailer. I know that these are 4 of my board members, and I talk to them on a regular basis, but all 4 of you sounded so professional. I mean, you should be on the radio. So it was just it was really impressive, a professionally produced podcast. So I'm really looking forward to, what did you say? They're about 30-minute segments, right? Is what we're looking for. So you could probably listen in the car, or however, wherever you turn into your podcast, but really looking forward to those releases. I know they put a lot of work into it, but this really could make us relevant, not just in the New Orleans area, but around the country and other, maybe even in Japan, if we could get our friends over in Matsue to tune in and listen in. So we'll certainly push that information out once we're starting and get the word out. So please sign it. You can either Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube, or I know that I signed up on my Apple podcast. So looking forward to the first ones. Thanks for all your hard work on that.
Yeah. Just one more thing real quick to add.
Sure.
In addition to the episodes, we'll have some bonus content too that's going to be exclusive to some of our YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram channels as well as some additional longer versions of the interview. So it won't just be a podcast episode. Occasionally, if we have interviews, you may get the long form interviews as well, in addition to the episode every week.
Great. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. Moving on to some of our other major events that we had this year, as Consul General mentioned earlier, we did have our Japan-U.S. military program in December. We were very fortunate to have Major General Sugai. He is the Senior Defense Attaché at the Embassy of Japan in Washington, D.C. And also online were Rear Admiral Jamie Kelly, who was the Commander, U.S. Forces Japan several years ago. So I thought it was a very interesting talk. We've got a lot of great feedback from it. If you missed the December meeting, we do have a YouTube channel. So if you go to Japan Society of New Orleans and search YouTube, the video that runs about an hour and 10 minutes or so, hour and 15 minutes, great talk on security issues that are affecting Japan and US. Our community outreach, obviously because of COVID, was a little light this year. Consul General, we just got a message this week, and I know Michelle Hansen's online, but due to Jazz Fest moving to October, Japan Fest has moved to Sunday, October 24th. It's a week later, so that we don't conflict with Jazz Fest, move to the 2 weekends. So It is going on. Hopefully we'll all have our vaccines by then and get together and enjoy it. But we actually have it on our calendar, October 24th. As it stands right now, there's no old business before the floor. The new business for tonight's meeting is going to be the recognition of the 2020 board, and then our nominating committee report will be made by Mary Hicks. So I would like to thank so much our board members from last year: Nigel Copeland, Gail Dellinger, Mark Dispenza, Giselle Farrell, Maddie Fox, Michelle Hansen, Mary Hicks, Samantha Perez, Matt Smith, Doug Tassin, Greg Tokiyama, Jennifer Torres, Mike Turner, and Naomi Yoder. Thank you for all the hard work. This has been a difficult year, a lot of challenges we faced. I feel like our board has risen to the challenge, and we're pushing out new products online to keep people connected and hopefully interest other folks in the New Orleans area about Japanese culture. That's our goal. Also, our Board of Governors, these are board members emeritus: Patty Habib Muleman, our past secretary, and then Nancy Turner, our past president. I'll turn it over to Mary Hicks for the nominating committee report for 2021.
All right. Wait, I gotta work this thing as well as talk at the same time. Why am I not spotlighted? Hold on. Sorry, folks. I can't do two things at one time.
You're spotlighted for me, Mary.
I'm spotlighted now. All right. So the officers for 2021 will remain the same as last year: President Mike Turner, Vice President Greg Tokuyama, Treasurer Jennifer Torres, and Secretary Samantha Perez. I'd like to say thank you to all of them for their continued service. These are definitely labors of love, and we appreciate the hard work that you guys do and that you continue to agree to do for the whole group. Next slide. The Board of Director nominations for 2021. Basically, we haven't had any new folks nominated to the board at this point. So Nigel Copeland, Gail Dellinger, Mark Dispenza, Giselle Farrell, Maddie Fox, myself, Matt Smith, Doug Tassin, and Naomi Yoder. Our honorary directors, of course, continue to be Consul General of Japan, Keioko Fukushima, and Honorary Consul of Japan, Donna Fraiche. So the bottom is designate someone nominated for the first year, but we don't have anybody who has been nominated to be new to the board for this year, basically because of COVID. So do we have any additional nominations from the floor? Here's where we call and ask for our membership to maybe nominate themselves or someone that they think would be good for the board. So I'm going to remove my spotlight. Anyone?
If there's any shy people that are interested in joining the board and want to talk to me offline, that's fine. We can make deals.
Oh, and yeah, and to mute quickly, you can hit the space bar on your computer with Zoom. So if you're having trouble unmuting, if you hit the space bar, that's a quick way to do it. Just in case somebody's interested.
Going once,
No.
twice.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
Oh, Dwayne. Was that Dwayne?
Yes,
Dwayne
it was.
Williams. That would be great. We'd love to have you on board, Dwayne. Look, can I get a motion from the floor to nominate Dwayne Williams to the board, please?
So motioned. This is Matt.
Matt, and we have a second.
Naomi seconds.
We're actually making an amendment to the nominating report, so we'll add Dwayne Williams to that. Dwayne, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so now that Dwayne has been added to the nominations, I need a motion from the floor to approve the amended slate.
This is Greg, so moved.
Greg moves. Can I get a second, please?
Seconded from Matt.
Matt Smith, thank you. Any opposition to the motion as proposed? No opposition, the motion carries. Welcome, Dwayne, to the board. I'll I'll give you a call afterwards. Thank you for joining. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
This is, again, being the old Navy guy, it's always about an org chart. This is basically how it breaks down. Myself as president, Greg is vice president, our secretary, Dr. Samantha Perez, and our treasury master of money is Jennifer Torres. We do have the cinema series open, so if you're interested in Japanese cinema, we would appreciate a new chair for that. I would imagine Nihongo Bin and Nihongo Renshi will kind of kick off once we're actually able to meet in person again. The book club, that probably should be Giselle/Jennifer with that, because Jennifer helps. And we still have Gail, and she is working on a couple things. As soon as we can get a dinner group together and probably get out a 50% occupancy at a restaurant, but we would like to have a couple dinners in 2021. Yes, Mary?
Mike, I want to make sure that this is clear to the membership, that you don't have to be a board member to be a committee chair,
Oh, no.
right?
Right, that is correct. It's anybody that's interested in doing it. You're welcome to join the board. We're not an exclusive group. We like to be inclusive. So if you're interested in that too, we'll take all hands and put these people to work. So let's go over a few things. Some of the needs for membership, what I need or what the board needs from the membership in 2021, where we could use some help as fundraising expertise. We have not formed a committee yet. Really need somebody who knows what they're doing about fundraising. Program committee chairs, again, if you know of anyone or if you're interested in anything, you want to form a new event, we have methods to do that. Just reach out to one of our board members and we can lead the way on that. Our membership committee chair is Nigel Copeland. We're always looking for new members. Membership is relatively cheap, $10 for a student, $25 for an individual, $40 for a family membership. So that's per year. A way ahead. Well, let me talk about one thing about fundraising, and one thing about fundraising that can easily be done if you're using Amazon to buy products. There's a program called Amazon Smile that you could go on and pick a nonprofit. Japan Society of New Orleans is one of those available nonprofits that you select, and I think it's 1% of your purchases actually go to, we get donated a couple times a year. It's not, I don't think it's a quarterly donation, but certainly twice a year we get donations from Amazon for purchases that people that have signed up on Amazon Smile. So little things like that can make a big difference if we're putting money into our exchange account or raising funds for a program. All of that obviously helps.
Mike, I would also like to mention something about the programs.
Go ahead, sure.
Yeah, so for those of you who are joining us and don't really know too much about our programs, not only do you not have to be a board member to be a chair of a program, but if you find a program that you really find interesting and you would love to help out, I'm sure all the program chairs would be more than happy to work with you and have you help out with performing at these programs and putting them on.
You know, we've got a few people that are really pulling a lot of weight in the group, and they could always use some help. So if you're interested in any of those topics or forming a new program, we're all ears. You want a new event, we're all ears to this. Anything that we can do to help, I guess, expand the knowledge of our fellow New Orleanians on Japanese culture. That's, again, our primary mission. One of the ways in which we're doing this is going to be our Geo Strategy in the Grassroots. This is a grant that we received through the National Association of Japan America Societies from the Sasakawa Peace Foundation USA. This is a discussion on security issues facing the U.S. and Japan. Our panelists include Richard Fontaine, the Center of New American Security in Washington, D.C. He's actually from New Orleans or the New Orleans area and a Tulane grad, so he's really disappointed that he's not able to come in person, because this would be a great, we're working with Tulane, but Tulane's in a bubble, and then the Port of New Orleans, they have a great amphitheater there, but just COVID restrictions are not going to be able to make this doable. So we moved it online. And I'll make another pitch for Candace Huber, who's one of our big corporate sponsors with Tubby and Koo's Bookshop. She actually is our StreamYard person. So we've actually been able to benefit our corporate members by actually, through this grant money, pay them for their services. So I think that's something nice. Also from Japan, Tomohiko Satake, he is part of the National Institute for Defense Studies in Tokyo, Japan. So we'll have one American and one Japanese from Japan and from the US and talk about these security issues. This will be via StreamYard. I'm about to put this event online. You have to register first so that we can send you the StreamYard link. You'll get that somewhere 24 to 48 hours ahead of the event. So it is free, just if you're interested in these issues. So mark on your calendars, Thursday, March 4th at 7 p.m. is when we'll have this talk. Should be pretty interesting. Well, I just stole my bullet from this slide. I knew I had it somewhere. So what are our goals that we're setting for 21? Fundraising, the money that we raise, we'd like to increase that in our exchange account so we can send another group over to Matsue. Obviously, they would normally come in an even year, but this year, due to COVID restrictions and the limitations on travel, they weren't able to make it. So maybe things will be different this fall, and we can entertain our friends from Matsue here in New Orleans sometime this fall. Keep our fingers crossed. We like to increase our membership. Hopefully, we can do that with new things. For instance, our podcast. And new programs coming online, the Quiet on Book Club online. And it's the goal of the board to continue to fine tune our programming to help to meet the needs of our community. So again, if you think of anything that you find interesting, that you think might be of interest to others, just let us know. Any of our board members, myself, shoot us an email. That's japansocietynola@gmail.com is our primary email address. Send us your ideas there and we'll consider it. And all we need is the help with the horsepower to get those events off. This is, all right, so we've almost concluded. Normally what we do, go to the order, is this is any questions or comments from the membership that we go around the horn. Again, we can't do it without you, our members, and particularly in this financially challenging year. We certainly appreciate your patronage. So thank you for your continued support. I'll open the floor for the good of the order. If there's any members that would like to make a comment, you can do so at this time.
This is Greg. I just want to put a plug in for Japan Fest in October. If anyone has any item that they'd like to see added to our normal program that we have in terms of maybe a performer or something like that, you can please let me know because I'm the outside MC as well as a past president for Japan Club. And of course, we're the primary movers for that over at NOMA. So any ideas that people want to try, we'll see what we can do to accommodate that. But thanks.
Great. Thanks, Greg. Anyone else? Comments, questions? Hopefully no complaints. Well, we'll move on then to our speaker, and I will introduce our last speaker. You've already heard from Consul General Fukushima. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Consul General. We really appreciate it. And we really appreciate your support of the society, and that goes for the entire consular staff. They are more than accommodating for any of our requests, questions, and things that we send up to the consulate. So please thank your staff. Deputy Consul General Kawaguchi joined us tonight also. Again, thank you for all your continued support. It's now my
Thank
great
you very much for your kind words.
Thank you. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Honorary Consul to Japan, Donna Fraiche, who's one of our speakers tonight. Donna Fraiche is the founder and president of Fraiche Strategies, recently retired from 45 years in the active practice of health law, retiring from Baker Donaldson, Bierman, Caldwell, and Berkowitz in 2020, where she utilized her vast experience gained from a lifetime of focused client representation and governance positions. Donna currently serves on the boards of 3 publicly traded companies, where she holds roles ranging from lead independent director to committee chair of multiple committees. Donna is also co-owner and co-manager of River Regional Properties 23 LLC, Fresh Family Limited LLC, NOLA Wine Merchant LLC, and additional small and real estate holding businesses. Ms. Fraiche is Honorary Consul of Japan for New Orleans. She has also been recently appointed to become Treasurer of the Louisiana Consular Corps and is a member of its executive committee. Other positions of note include service as President of the World Trade Center, Chair of the Board of New Orleans Regional Medical Center, President of the Louisiana Bar Foundation, President of the Louisiana Appleseed, and on the adjunct faculty of Tulane University's School of Public Health and Administration as a preceptor for residency program in health systems management. She's also received numerous personal awards and recognition, including Order of the Rising Sun from the Government of Japan, Gold Rays with neck ribbon, conferred by the Government of Japan in recognition of outstanding contributions to U.S.-Japan relations. Integris Vitae from Loyola University is their highest recognition given. Woman of the Year by New Orleans City Business, and the Joseph W. Simon Jr. Memorial Award, which is an award, the highest award given by the New Orleans Regional Chamber of Commerce. I proudly call Donna and her husband, Dr. John Fraiche, a friend and mentor. I can't thank her enough for the support she has given me and to the Japan Society in New Orleans. Please join me in welcoming Honorary Consul Donna Fraiche to our meeting tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm embarrassed. That was such a generous and very, very old introduction, because I think it spanned a very old life. So I thank you so very much. We call you Captain Mike Turner, although you're retired from the Navy, you're our captain, and we thank you very, very much. Also for this so kind introduction. You know, now I don't have to say anything because there's no time left, but in any event, I've spoken at your annual meetings in the past, and frankly, there was so much more to speak about than this year other than COVID. So I've decided to talk a little bit about COVID tonight. But it is my great honor, and I'm so humbled to follow my dear Consul General, Keioko Fukushima, who is one of the most outstanding and achieved women leaders from Japan. And I'm fortunate to call her my friend. She's only had one occasion to visit us in Louisiana, and she told you a little bit about that. And during that occasion last year, we tried to introduce her to Louisiana through our eyes, our history, our culture, our traditions, particularly food, and our economy, while Mike and Gail Dellinger tried to explain why they dropped in for dinner in white tie and formal ball gown, which was indeed interesting and unusual. And we then tried to explain Mardi Gras. Now, Mardi Gras is not very easy to explain, but I think our friends in Japan who have their own Mardi Gras in Matsui have come to know and love not just jazz as part of our culture, but throwing beads. So that evening, and perhaps she will remember, we talked a little bit about the history of throwing beads for Mardi Gras, and I tried to tell her about the beads that I found in my mother's attic after Hurricane Katrina, which included a box. And back then, for those of you who don't know anything about the 1950s and 60s, cigars were sold in what's called cigar boxes, which were these little, very, very hard shaped boxes that once they were out of cigars, people stored their valuables. And in my mother's cigar boxes were these fabulous Mardi Gras bead treasures, including glass beads that were, with the tag still on them, made in Japan. In addition to the glass beads that were made in Japan were crystal beads made in what was then called Czechoslovakia, which is now the Czech Republic, and which still makes crystal beads. But in any event, they don't throw them off of Mardi Gras floats anymore. They throw cheap beads from China, and lots of them. So we want to bring back the tradition of glass beads from Japan, and one at a time, beautiful crystal beads from the Czech Republic. In any event, it was very difficult to explain the whole phenomena of throwing treasures on the ground. Additionally, we asked that perhaps the best way to show our Consul General Mardi Gras was to invite her back to Mardi Gras this year. Unfortunately, there is no Mardi Gras this year because of COVID. So we'll have to do something virtually on Mardi Gras Day. And all of us try to bring that tradition and culture to our friends in Japan. Nonetheless, we had fun, but we also had one of the most scholarly presentations I've ever witnessed given by our Consul General at the Tulane River and Coastal Center on the subject of something that Japan knows so very well, which is resiliency in the time of recovery. And on that topic, she is very much an expert and can share with us Japan's best practices. Every presentation that she has given and that I have had the occasion to attend left me in awe of her knowledge and her grace. And it is my great hope that before the year has passed, we will again be graced by her physical presence, whether it's at Japan Fest in October, when perhaps then we can travel again, or whether it's some other occasion. But in any event, I sure hope that we have an opportunity to see each other and visit each other personally. And she is a model for us all, and especially the young women who aspire to leadership, careers in diplomacy, and greatness. In a few minutes that I wish to address you, please allow me to make a point of personal privilege and to thank and commend the tremendous work, much of which you've heard tonight, of your president, the retired Captain Turner, for his sustained and his steadfast leadership in keeping this chapter of Japanese society, New Orleans, alive, vibrant, and relevant during a unique and historic time where we've experienced in 2020 the worst world pandemic in over a century. Not only have we endured a pandemic, the coast of Louisiana experienced a record number of hurricane landfalls, watches, and warnings. And our new Consul General had to experience this worst hurricane season that I can remember in my lifetime. It was so bad that we ran out of names. You know, we have hurricanes named based on the alphabets. Well, we ran out of alphabets, so we had to start naming them the Greek letters, alpha, beta, gamma, and I ran out of Greek letters that I had to remember when I was once in a sorority. And in the event, we had Christabel, Marco, Laura, and Laura hit Lake Charles area as a Cat 5 so badly that $6.6 billion of damages were caused, and that number continues to grow. It may outpace the Katrina number in terms of disaster. In fact, our governor asked President Biden for another $3 billion of relief to Lake Charles. In addition, we had Sally, and then we went to the Greek alphabets, Beta and Delta. There were 8 in the Gulf of Mexico alone. Now, so our dear Consul General got to figure out what disasters were about in Japan. We've got them beat in Louisiana, and I'm sure that she can be of great help to us during these times that we continue to recover. After that, we continued to have lockdowns, social distancing, and ups and downs and spikes in our coronavirus statistics in this region. However, this mature chapter of the Japan Society under Mike's leadership thrived. You've just heard of all of the programs that went online, that went virtual, book clubs, the Crew of Japan podcast, the Way Ahead program coming your way, and sake tastings. Oh my goodness, we need to have more sake tastings, don't we? And we can do it virtual, and no one will see just how much sake we've tasted. In any event, I want to applaud all that you've been doing as a Japan Society. under Mike's leadership. And a shout out to each and every one of you, those who chair programs and those that come to them. Thank you very much as you continue to lead the mission of this society, for whom we owe a great debt of gratitude for your leadership. And he's so modest. He always champions the efforts of his team, and he delegates it very well. Now, there are many of you in the audience tonight that are owed a shout out for making this all happen. And of course, Bob Turner, the Japan Club president, and Greg Tokiyama, the past president of Japan Club, who make Japan Fest what it is year after year. This year had to again cancel or reschedule or rework or wonder if it's actually going to happen, Japan Fest. But it's on schedule for October. Now I think it was supposed to be the 17th to 24th. So I am convinced we're going to have it, and we're going to have it in a great way, because we always have our Japan Fest. Now, I know the New Orleans Museum of Art has rules about how many people can get together, given whatever stage we are in New Orleans with public gatherings. And so that could have an impact. But we're hoping by that time that our incidence of COVID will be down low enough, and our vaccine distribution rates will be high enough that we'll again see everyone in their anime costumes. Get ready for them now. If you can't wear them at Mardi Gras, you can wear them at Japan Fest. So that brings me to my topic today, which is a little bit more serious. I want to talk about Japan and the United States today in the throes of COVID. And I don't want to speak as a honorary consul of Japan, because I want a disclaimer. I want to speak from my own personal feelings about COVID, because you heard a little bit about my background, that I spent most of my life in healthcare policy, as well as recovery policy, having been on the Louisiana Recovery Authority, where I learned disaster 101. It's nothing like combining healthcare and a disaster in the form of COVID. So tonight I want to speak strictly on a personal level. It's my view. And I want to disclaim, because I take my role and responsibility as a representative of the Japanese government in the United States very, very seriously. So this is all me tonight. And the research, if it's wrong, blame me. It's my effort at using Google, as it were. And it's even my effort at trying to be humorous at times. So you have to forgive me for that as well. But I do want to talk about a couple of issues. I want to talk about the variant and the mutations, and what can we expect after having at least 4 spikes in this country? And will we get ahead of the mutation that we are expecting is already here in the United States, either the South African strain or the UK strain that we believe that we have a little bit more control over in terms of what we're doing therapeutically and otherwise. I want to just mention as one of the topics, but I'm just going to mention it very quickly as a topic, and then I'm not going to mention it again. The July 23rd Summer Olympics in Tokyo. I was already booking my ticket, and I'm still going to go if I can. I think it's going to be on. I think the Tokyo, as successful as they've been in everything else, is going to figure this out. And I'd much rather have the Olympics in Tokyo than in Florida. I think it's much safer in Tokyo than it is in Florida. And you can quote me on that, but not as the Honorary Consul of Japan. Thirdly, I want to talk a little bit, and you've already heard Counsel General talk about the political landscape in the United States and Japan, that we both have new leadership, new Prime Minister in Japan, Prime Minister Suga, and a new President Biden in the United States. And you've already heard that they are very strong allies, and we believe that that relationship is going to bloom. In Louisiana, I want to talk about the state we're in, our economy, and how we're dealing with the pandemic and the vaccination distribution. And I've just told you what my topics are, and I think my time's up. But I think it's fair to say that the pandemic in Japan is taken very, very seriously. and their incidence of positive COVID cases, although on the rise, is still among the lowest in the world. And that even though Japan is undergoing its third wave in uptick, there are 97 million cases of COVID worldwide, Japan is still almost at the bottom of the list in terms of cases and deaths. The United States, on the other hand, has half of the world's reported cases, over 43 million, and Europe is second with 31 million. It's interesting, Southeast Asia's rates dropped to 13 million, and there are other countries under that. Africa is 2 million. And there are all sorts of maybe reasons why, but there are theories that could easily be debunked. But there's some theory that's interesting and that we'll learn more about, which is that Southeast Asia had SARS, and because of SARS in Southeast Asia, by the way, Vietnam was the lowest incidence of COVID in the world. There's a feeling that maybe there was some antibody to a similar virus, which is what the novel COVID-19 virus is. And so that could be a possibility, but it is not proven, but it is interesting. There are other theories which may be debunked, but one that I think is more practical than anything is mask wearing. Mask wearing is part of the culture in Japan, and it's so much more universal. No one had to mandate wearing masks in Japan. It was done universally because people respect each other in Japan and believe that they don't want to be the person that hurts somebody else. And so in Japan, you wore masks even before COVID, and now it's quite universal and very much fashionable and acceptable. Scientists also looked at something in the research I looked at called the X factor, which includes that there are fewer public touching displays. I mean, we all hug each other. I mean, that's how we communicate. When I meet my friends in Japan and they bow to me, I hug them, which is probably the wrong thing to do. And it's especially the wrong thing to do in a COVID pandemic. So the X factor. There's more bowing and less kissing in Japan, and it's built a lot on social distancing to the extent that there's 37 million people in Tokyo alone that can somehow socially distance, is amazing given that their rates of COVID remain as low as they are. And they even continued to pack the fast train in Tokyo. People still rode the train in the middle of the pandemic. But one of the things I read about that I thought was so interesting was that they promoted some sort of common sense warnings in Japan. One, do not be enclosed in spaces with poor ventilation. Duh, of course that makes sense. Two, do not go to karaoke bars and crowded places with many people. And I can add that, especially if you can't sing. And number three, do not have face-to-face conversations, especially if you're not wearing a mask. On April 7th, then Prime Minister Abe ordered people to stay at home. Consul General and I have discussed the restrictions in Louisiana, United States, and Japan, and she referred you to the website for the latest information on restrictions to go to Japan or to leave Japan and to go to another country. And in fact, there were, according to the Japan Times website, there were countries that restricted people from Japan and quarantined Japanese citizens, as well as citizens from other countries once they arrived. Well, don't feel so badly because I was quarantined and not able to cross the border from Alabama to Florida because I lived in Louisiana. Go figure. It happens. And in Massachusetts, when I have to go to visit my daughter in Boston, I have to test 72 hours before. I have to bring with me a positive COVID test that is 72 hours before I arrive in Boston. It's kind of logistically very difficult to get back a test in 72 hours, especially the PCR test, which are the only tests that really count. Some of the stuff that they stick up your nose and get out your nose is just about as good as the Q-tip that it's on. I mean, there are a lot of false negatives out there. But in any event, that's what I have to do to go to Massachusetts. And I have to register with the state of Massachusetts so they know exactly where I am. And I have to agree that if I haven't tested, then I have to quarantine for 14 days. With my granddaughter, who's 1, that wouldn't be a bad idea. In any event, don't feel badly if Japanese citizens are told that they have to quarantine if they come to the United States, because I have to quarantine when I go to Florida. In any event, things are gradually opening up in most of the world because the incidents, although they've been peaking, seem to be beginning to level off until these new mutations and variants become a new reality. So in Japan, there's one other thing I think that distinguishes us greatly from Japan in terms of the high incidence of not just COVID, but the death rates, which are really very serious. And I'm not joking now. We had 55 deaths today reported in Louisiana and 2,517 new cases, which was better than one day a couple of weeks ago when we had 6,000 cases reported. There are 425,000 total deaths in the United States. And in Louisiana, even though we've spiked, we are beginning, I heard the governor's talk today, we're beginning to sort of level off and people are trying to be cautiously optimistic. But in Japan, you have a different population base than we have here. And in Louisiana, the conditions that cause death mostly for COVID patients are obesity, where we have the greatest number of deaths, and also heart disease and diabetes. And those diseases are not as prevalent at all in Japan. There's very low incidence, if any, of obesity except sumo wrestlers. And I understand, and I'm being serious, that there were sumo wrestlers that died of COVID. And that is very sad, but obesity is one of the factors that everyone needs to be concerned about. According to the Washington Post yesterday, and I want to talk a little bit now and jump to vaccines if I can, and I think that's really, really important. We are in the beginning of giving the vaccines in the United States, yet we are a bit ahead of Japan in that we have already had our clinical trials for Pfizer and for Moderna that have gone through on an expedited manner, and those vaccines have already been put in the marketplace in the United States. And so we're slightly ahead. In Japan, those clinical trials are still taking place. There are places in Japan that have their own manufacturing, their own pharma. In Japan, Takeda is an example of one of the pharmaceutical companies. And I think it's Novavax, which is another one of the vaccines in Japan. And so they're ramping up, and Pfizer's just about finished their clinical trials, just about to get approval, we believe, within the next couple of months in Japan. Again, this is not the consulate speaking, this is my research. And then I think that Moderna will probably also be able to ramp up, as well as the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccines as well. And of course, we know in the United States, we'll be getting Johnson & Johnson online soon, and then we'll be able to do more mass vaccinations. I don't want to go through all the numbers, and there are a significant amount of statistics that came out just today. I believe Japan is set to receive about 310 million vaccine doses from Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca, and that total should be enough to vaccinate 157 million people. If I know and understand the Japanese culture as I wish I did, I'm sure that's going to get distributed very, very easily, very quickly, and it will get done. In the United States, President Biden has made his #1 priority to get 100 million vaccines out every single day and get 100 days of vaccines out and to get this population vaccinated. In Louisiana, where we are right now, is that we're doing pretty well. We were 10th ranked in the country in terms of getting vaccinations out. We are now about 16th in the country. The governor's not real happy about that, but I think that we've got an infrastructure in place. We have more providers that are signed on to give the vaccine as vaccinators than that are actually receiving the vaccine right now. They're well over 800 providers, and we'll have some major vaccine events to be able to bring more people into vaccinations when we get to the next stage. Right now, we're still at the stage where it's all health workers, frontline workers, and people that are in the nursing homes, as well as people that are getting a dialysis, or the people that will be vaccinated and our vaccinations have been accounted for. In addition to that, people over 75 plus who can get an appointment at a CVS pharmacy or at their physician's office, or if they're in a health plan like Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System, or like Ochsner, they can call to their physician and they can get an appointment if they're over 75. Good news as of today, Louisiana will get 16% more of its vaccine supply next week. And we've got a better way now of gauging how much supply we're going to get. And that's because the Biden administration listened carefully to the governor saying, give us more lead time so we can have a better infrastructure in place to be able to have vaccines that are not going to be wasted. We wasted very, very little in Louisiana. Maybe a couple of vials broke on the floor, but not so much, because everything that was given out was given out. And in fact, at the end of the day, if there were extra vials of vaccine, they were pulling people literally off the street to vaccinate them to make sure they didn't go to waste. And so Louisiana, I think, has done a super job of that. I don't know when we'll be able to move from age 75 to age 65. That'll probably be the next phase. And then from there, they'll start recognizing more of the essential workforce, grocery workers and teachers and you know, you name it, plant workers that will want to have vaccinations so that the economy can continue. The economy in Louisiana, as you know, suffered, as did the economy everywhere else. On that front, and I'll close with this because I have a lot more notes and research, but I won't bore you. I've gone far beyond the time I need to go, but great news on the economic front, and I did have the opportunity to share this with the consulate, is that we've got major Japanese foreign investment in Louisiana right now in the form of an announcement that Mitsubishi was coming to Louisiana to do a plant. And we also have a major expansion of the Shintech plant, multi-billion-dollar expansion, and many more jobs that will be created from those investments in Louisiana. So we thank our friends in Japan for seeing Louisiana as a place for economic prospects and growth. And with that, I will be here to answer any questions about vaccines and the delivery, and you know, where I think we are in terms of COVID in Louisiana and in the United States. And again, I'm not a physician. I'm just married to one. My daughter is a physician, married to one. My son is a physician, married to one. I guess that makes me vaccinated, if not indoctrinated. So thank you so much. You've been a wonderful audience this evening. I love each and every one of you. I just wish that I could share a glass of sake with you now.
Donna, thank you so much for that talk. We really appreciate it. Are there any questions from the floor? What, Mary Hicks, is that a raised hand?
No, that is an applause.
That's a clapping hand. Okay,
That's
let me
a
put my
clapping.
glasses on. That's a
I
clapping
like the
hand.
I like the vaccinated if wait, vaccinated if not doctrinated, or the other way around?
Or doctrinated.
Indoctrinated. I love it.
Do we
Thank
have
you,
any
Donna. It was
questions
really
for our honorary consul from the floor? Barring that, Donna, again, thank you so much. Consul General, Fukushima, thank you so much for joining us. Deputy Consul General Kawaguchi, thank you so much for
Thank you very
joining us
much.
tonight. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
your support.
Yeah, Donna mentioned the bees. These
Very
are
nice.
not from Japan or maybe not from Czechoslovakia, but I still chase them.
They're from China.
Got 'em. So very nice. Well, thank you all for joining. I hope you found the meeting informative. You've got some great board members on this on our Japan Society. They're working hard to create that bridge between the U.S. and Japanese cultures. We're looking to further those ties in 2021. Again, thank you all for joining. Hopefully, we'll have an opportunity to see each other soon once we start getting the vaccines out there. So let's look forward to that. And for our board members, we'll see each other via Zoom on Tuesday the 9th. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. Appreciate it. Thanks to our speakers, Honorary Consul Donna Fraiche, Consul General Fukushima. Thank you so much. That
Thank you very
concludes the
much.
meeting.
Arigato. Sayonara. Mwah.
Go Tashimashite.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.